January is one of the most important months to plant in Florida. Not because of warmth, but because of timing. This is when we set up our cool season harvests, start seeds that need time, and choose plants that can actually thrive right now. In today's video, I'll talk through all of the vegetables, herbs, and flowers that we should be planting across the entire state of Florida in the month of January. January is a month where many of us are preparing to start our spring gardens, so let's get intentional and let's get started. Let's start with salad greens because these are one of the easiest wins in a January Florida garden. Arugula, lettuce, kale, endive, and spinach can all be transplanted across the whole state, whether you're in North, Central, or South Florida. I had spinach growing so nicely right here under these humidity domes for protection, but something dug right over there underneath the humidity dome, got in there, ate all the spinach, and then dug back out. It's a good reminder about the pressure that we sometimes see from wildlife. Endive has been one of my favorites lately. The other day I made a nice big salad for me and my husband, and it was endive, walnuts, goat cheese, apple, and cooked beets, and a really nice homemade dressing with EVOO and some honey and balsamic vinegar. And it was such a great and refreshing salad to eat straight from the garden. Kale is one of the best options for South Florida or even Central Florida right now because it's the one that's most resistant in its mature state to any bolting. It'll keep growing as temperatures warm up. If you're planting in January, salad greens are one of the best places to start. Next up are cooking greens, collards, mustards, and chard. These are some of the most reliable greens you can plant in the month of January in Florida. They handle cool weather beautifully. They're slower than salad greens, but they're tough, they're productive, and very forgiving. I made a collards recipe last night that reminded me why these are worth growing. It was collards simmered with ham hocks, chicken broth, garlic, onions, a splash of apple cider vinegar, and finished with hot sauce. It's simple, comforting, and exactly the kind of meal that makes a winter garden feel useful. I'll link the recipe in the description below if you want to try it. If you want crops that feel dependable and rewarding through the winter months, this is a great category to focus on. North Central and South Florida can all transplant collards, mustards, and Swiss chard this month. If you ever feel unsure about what to plant and when in Florida, I've made this planting guide just for you. This covers when to seed start, when to transplant, and when to direct sow all types of vegetables, herbs, and flowers. And there's one for Central, North, and South Florida. And you can check it out at the link in the description box below. Next are the brassicas: broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, Chinese cabbage, and kohlrabi. North, Central, and South Florida can all be transplanting these this month, although the approach may differ a little bit by region. In South Florida, temperatures warm up so quickly that January is really the last good month before the heat starts working against you for these crops. In North Florida, transplants are fine too, although if you're going to get a hard freeze and you have young transplants in the garden, you're going to want to protect them from any frost. Mature plants will be fine. It's the young ones we're worried about with frost. I haven't had much luck with brassicas this year. The critters just keep getting them. I just put out some traps along with some brand new transplants, so there's hope for me yet. Next up are your root veggies. This category includes beets, carrots, turnips, and radishes. Right here is a little patch of turnips, and I've been harvesting some of them as they become ready, and right now I'm waiting for these to get just a little bit bigger before I harvest them. Earlier this season, I was struggling with carrot germination a little bit, and I finally had a lot of success when I tried the cornstarch slurry method. I'll drop a link to a YouTube short that I made about how to do that cornstarch slurry method in case you want to try it. The gist is mixing water and cornstarch over low heat and then letting it cool to room temperature until it's like a gel consistency. And then you mix in some carrot seeds and you use like a Ziploc bag to pipe them into your soil. And then the spacing is so much more improved and the moisture stays on the seed and allows for better germination. These 4 crops can be direct sown all across the whole state of Florida, North, Central, or South this month. Now, beets are special because they can be transplanted or direct sown, but personally, I think if direct sow is an option, I think it's so much easier. Why not just go for it? Radishes are a good option if you want something really quick. They only take somewhere between 1 month and maybe 1.5 or 2 months to be ready for harvest. Carrots are a little bit slower. They take about 4 months to be ready to harvest. For best results, you're going to want loose soil, consistent moisture, and shallow planting depths. Let's talk about celery next. It doesn't really fit nicely in a category, but it is in the carrot family, so we'll talk about it right after carrots. Celery can be transplanted across the whole state this month as well, although it's really slow growing, I've noticed, but it's also very low maintenance. I tucked it back behind this trellis. There's 4 celery plants back here, and I just transplanted them a couple weeks ago. Celery takes patience, but January is a good planting time for it. Next are sugar snap peas. These are a crop that everyone in Florida, North, Central, or South can direct sow in the month of January. It's a cool season plant, and it grows pretty quickly once it's established. I especially love growing them because they're great for garden snacks right off the vine. Now, this season, I originally had my sugar snap peas supported by a single 8-foot tall bamboo stake, and I was tying them to the stake using some stretchy garden tape. And I noticed it really wasn't working very well. They weren't liking that setup, and they weren't really climbing it very well. So I found this obelisk trellis at Rockledge Gardens, and they're doing so much better. It's nice thin metal, and this extra like scroll design gives them something to grab onto with those gentle tendrils, and it's working way better. So make sure you've got the right plant support for the plant. Next are potatoes, both Irish potatoes and sweet potatoes. January can be a planting month for potatoes in Florida, but this is one where location really matters. In North and Central Florida, this is a good time to be direct sowing your seed potatoes for Irish potatoes. In South Florida, Irish potatoes are often planted earlier, but January can still work depending on your conditions. Sweet potatoes are a little different. In North and Central Florida, January is a good time to start planting and getting slips going rather than planting them out just yet. In South Florida, sweet potatoes are much more flexible, and if your slips are ready, they can be planted. They're one of those crops that can be grown almost year-round in South Florida. Potatoes like loose soil, good drainage, and steady moisture as they establish. If you're growing them in raised beds or containers, make sure you have enough depth and space for them to size up. They take some patience, but they're so fun to dig up when harvest time comes around. Now let's talk about the warm season transplantable crops, like eggplants, peppers, and tomatoes. This is one of the crop categories where location in Florida really matters in January. South and Central Florida are unlikely to get a frost, so you can go ahead and transplant these frost-sensitive crops. In North Florida, January is more about seed starting these crops. You're going to wait until February or March to transplant them until the risk of frost has passed. Now, sometimes our weather in Florida is a little unpredictable, so I would recommend checking the forecast for any kind of cold snap coming up before you transplant them, no matter where you live. If you planted some of these crops in the fall, like I did, they may actually just last all the way through the winter and keep growing, honestly, until you feel like the plant is just suffering from pests or disease, or you just feel like starting new with another crop. Right now is actually the most productive my Carolina Wonder bell pepper plant has ever been. I think I have like 4 peppers on this plant right now. Normally it's been a low producer for me, but I've been fertilizing a little bit more regularly and adding the micronutrients that it needs, and it looks like it's starting to pay off. Although I do see some discoloration in the leaves, so maybe I don't have that fertilizer tuned quite right. We'll get it figured out. If you need help starting these from seed, I'm going to link right here a video that I made back in July all about how to seed start these crops. Oh, look, I found a couple ripe Everglades tomatoes. Oh, it's so juicy, it's squished. Now for those of you in South Florida, let's talk about the warm season direct sow crops. These are going to be your beans, okra, corn, and southern peas. These crops really need warm soil to germinate and grow well. So South Florida, you guys are already in the window, ready to plant. North and Central Florida, we're gonna wait a little bit before we plant these. Next are our cucurbits. So these are things like cucumbers, loofah, summer squash, winter squash, cantaloupe, and watermelon. These are warm season crops again, so South Florida, you guys are good to go to direct sow these this month. Central Florida, you can, but some people are a little bit nervous about potential cold snaps, so it's okay to wait until February if you're nervous about that. These cucurbits really need warm soil to germinate, so make sure you look at the weather forecast and you've got a good look ahead of warm soil temperatures before you direct sow them in the garden. This year I'm going to try a Monica cucumber because one of my subscribers commented on a recent video that Monica produced very well for her. It was really disease-free and it was really disease-resistant. So I'm going to go for that one, and in hopes that I can have a nice harvest without all the trouble that cucumbers usually give. Next, I want to talk about herbs. Across North, Central, and South Florida, all of us can be transplanting chives, cilantro, fennel, parsley, tarragon, and thyme. Although I always have trouble finding thyme starts when I go to the nursery, so let me know if you guys have been to Rockledge Gardens recently and you see thyme starts and I need to run back over there. I've tried starting thyme from seed and it's just so painfully slow. I don't even think it's worth it, but I'm going to try again anyway. January is also a really good month for seed starting a bunch of our annual herbs like basil and dill, and then our perennials like oregano and sage. They can be seed started this month as well. Herbs are a great way to fill in some open space that might be in the garden, and they also just look beautiful and you can add them to all kinds of dishes. So don't skimp out on adding herbs to the garden. Now, no garden is complete without flowers. January is still very much a cool season month for Florida flowers, so I would recommend going with exactly what I've got here. We've got sweet alyssum right here, the white one, dianthus right here, although dianthus I've noticed needs quite a bit of deadheading to look nice. And then we've got petunias that are so easy and so beautiful, and then Calibrachoa right up here. Although, let me just say, Calibrachoa is far more difficult for me than petunias. Petunias just grow and sprawl so easily, and they're self-cleaning, so you don't have to deadhead them. But the Calibrachoa doesn't have nearly the same amount of fullness. It may be a watering issue for me, I'm not sure. And then let's not forget about verbena. I don't know if you can see this little purple verbena back here. Maybe if I move the alyssum out of the way, you can see the purple verbena. So pretty. So next year I think I'm going to repeat this same exact cool season flower setup, except I'm probably going to plant a little bit more densely and maybe drop the Calibrachoa and add in only petunias around the edge. And that's it for what we're planting in the month of January. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.